Yeah, it says starting recording.
Can we get Jamie a bigger chair?
Recording started.
I'm slouching.
There we
He's
go.
a
Yeah.
seat.
He's on the floor. The chair's behind him.
Is he not allowed to sit on a chair until he's done really well? Right, I think
I've recorded it because it's absolutely organised.
the meeting came as a shock to me when Michelle Porter read around the corner. I thought, who the hell organised this at such a ridiculous time? And then I was told it was me. So is Dave Webb going to be joining us?
I've just tried ringing him.
He's the person who said, I don't know what's being developed. Things get released without me knowing.
His ears on the other screen.
You muted, Dave.
Do I need to do large gallery? I do.
I'm here.
Yeah, you won't see Dave unless it's a large gallery, I think.
Let's see, here we go. Hey, there he is. I've got him.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to keep this as brief as possible, right? I think the idea was just for the timeware team to be aware of what the NMD3 development guys have been up to, so it doesn't come as a big shock at the end of the year. So we sort of kept up with things, and I think this will help when you're describing to the customers how the product's developing when we have the system performance reviews.
Yeah.
So should we play this? Who's going to show us what?
Do you want me to open it up? Do you want to share your screen? Yeah. And there we go.
Whoa, that's an
I think
excellent
anyone who's in that building should just mute unless you're speaking, because it's echoing.
That was
It's a strange thing, wouldn't it?
You didn't talk in there. Do you want to start from the beginning? I tell you what, flick it. How do I flick it back to me?
I think if Rich stops and then you can share.
Yeah, just let me talk first, Rich. Yeah, no worries. All right. So I think this. Yeah, cool. I think this meeting should be about groupings.
right. Hang on, just 1 second.
Yeah, Jamie,
switch
mute
your
yours.
mute. You can mute this. Mute yours, and then Nathan will be all right. Just mute yourself. Okay, go for it, Nathan.
Is that any better?
Yeah, 10 times better.
Yeah. So I think this should be about groupings.
Okay.
So.
That's good. Yes, good. That.
Yeah. So what we've done on the groupings. So our initial idea was to use token boxes for the groupings. Yep. So it's annoying this. I need a mic or something.
What's it doing? Picking it back up through your own?
Yeah. Just turn it down. You still hear me all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yeah, it's just echoing, so it's putting me off.
Okay, let me say something while you're thinking about to fix that, right? Okay, so at the moment we've got 10 groupings in timeware, haven't we? Timeware 23, and what we've got, what Nathan, what the team had to do was come up with a good way of replicating that, or replicating that, or improving on it on timeware, on reach. And one of the things when we're developing the products, we're not just having to think of the way it looks. We have to think of the cost implications. It's a different way of thinking than it was on the on-premise. You know, Nathan could design something in such an inefficient way that it could bankrupt the company if it was super inefficient. Yeah. So every single little transaction, every little transaction with the database has to be thought about. And so we've got to remember that. When the developed guys talk about it, they miss that bit out because that's just natural to them now. But it's a bit different to us. So when we look at something, they wonder why they've done that. We have to bear in mind that they've got to come up with the best solution. And cost is a big factor in that. Okay, so we've currently got 10 groupings. Yeah, and Nathan wanted to improve on that. He wanted to come up with a better idea than these 10 groupings, which are just, they're like, what do you call them, Nathan?
So fixed groupings. So
Yeah.
we've got 6 fixed groupings, and then we've got 4 custom groupings.
So can I just jump in again? I won't keep doing this, but just to make it clear, the custom groupings are what we've currently got. We've got 10 custom groupings at the moment. If you imagine it like that, 10 custom groupings, and it's going to be reduced to 6. Is it or 4? No.
At the moment,
Yeah.
until somebody complains, we're going to have 4 custom groups.
So it's going to be reduced to 4. However, there's going to be 6 new grouping. What are they called?
So you've got organisation,
Yeah.
location, division, department, group, and unit.
And just one last thing, and then I'll shut up. The good thing about having these, not specific groups, what are they called?
Fixed groupings.
Fixed groupings, thank
name
you.
groupings. Why don't we call them name groupings?
Name groupings. Imagine one of them was it, what was one location? Was one location?
Yeah, location.
Yeah, so imagine when that screen's been designed and that table's been designed, it could have an actual location in the world, couldn't it? And all the bits that go with that. And if you compare that with what we've got now, if you have location on timeware 23, you haven't got any, you haven't got address and postcode, or it's coordinates in the UK in the world, have you? So that it gives.
Could put like a geofence around that area.
Yeah.
So the groupings mean a lot more than they used to do, rather than just grouping the real things. Some of these with real uses.
So that's the starting point for this section. Okay, that's the.
The echoes from now. By the way.
It's better now. Whatever you've done.
And then just talk about the groupings. When we showed it at the launch, we were talking about having a token box. So that would mean that you could have, let's say we had department, you'd be able to say, no, location's an easier one to understand. So let's say we had a location against Nathan Price, you'd be able to say Nathan's in Rochdale and Haywood. So you can select multiple ones. Okay, and after giving that a lot of thought, it's not a good idea. So the reason being is, imagine you ran a report off and you wanted to do it by location, and it was an attendance report. Where will my information go? Does it go against Rochdale or Haywood? And then what happens to your totals at the end? How does it know that you're not really in both? And how much did you spend at one and how much at the other? You start getting mega complicated. So we've gone back to just going to one item per grouping.
Yeah.
So I can only be at one location or in one department or one group.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So what does this mean when you just when we come to migrate from on-premise to the cloud? It just means a bit more thought, doesn't it? There's going to be a procedure that'll develop over the next couple of years, and that will cover every aspect of the system from personnel importing to scripting. And it's just going to be another step that has to be thought about. That's all. It's absolutely not. It's a really good thing, this.
Yeah, we've been mapping, obviously. We've been mapping, trying to map the groups from the old system to the new system the best we can. And hopefully we might only have to use our custom grouping because we've got most of what they need already.
Yeah, it's just for the odd ones in it, I guess, where you can't.
The odd ones. Yeah. So the argument's going to be, how many odd ones should we have? And at the moment, it's 4 at the moment, but I'm open to opinions and whatever. You guys put the systems in, don't you? So
the one that I'm thinking of next that a lot of customers use, probably about 70%.
Yeah.
Is reporting to. So like it'd be a name of the manager and I report to that manager and we use that for assigning who they can see.
You could, so there's one of your customs used up. Or you might decide the word unit is good enough for that.
I'm going to say it could be one of the other ones if they're not using that for that, couldn't it? It's like unit. If they don't have units, we could use that as the align manager, for example.
I mean, the other one would be sort of for transferring into payroll. We separate them as well, don't we? It's like salary people,
weekly and monthly and stuff.
Monthly. not always do people get transferred across into Sage.
Yeah.
And we have a way of that's one of the groupings we use for that. But then again, that could be a unit. We could rename it. It doesn't have to be like for like, I suppose.
I mean, we've got salaries obviously on the new one, and we have an active salary as well on the new stuff. So you have one active. So we could be a bit clever on the Sage side, and we could use their active
Use
salary
something off of
instead.
that. Yeah.
Just a thought, Dave. I'm just saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we only did it with grouping because that was the only way to do it on that.
Yeah.
When if there's something else, we could use something else.
So yeah.
I think straight away there's a good point here for this meeting. So there's like little whispers through the company out there. Nathan will tell me something in the morning. I'll speak to Dave at night. He might mention, and it's like it's Chinese whispers. Where straight away, if all of us get these little snippets once a month, it'll help allay any fears, won't it? People won't, Dave won't think shit. They've not thought about such and such. I think another thing Nathan said to me before we make any major decisions on big things, he's going to be discussing things with key people. Obviously, Dave, you're at the sharp end, you know, and Martin Bevo, you're at the support end, mopping up Dave's mistake. Sorting out the the stuff once it's gone live. So I think having these meetings will be really beneficial to everybody. Yeah.
So some other major thing to mention is to do with groupings again. And it's to do with the find form for an employee. So what we've realised as well, is being able to group the headers on the employee find form isn't scalable. So what I mean by that is if you start grouping things like that, if you start dragging that header up and you're expecting it all to group, the only way to do that properly is for us to give you all the information back. So that doesn't scale. If we end up with a site with 2,000 employees, we would have to pass you back 2,000 employees to be able to group on that find form. And then had a think about what they're normally trying to do. So we're putting a lot more effort into the actual find on the find form now, on the employee find form. So you can still sort the columns. So you'll be able to sort it by employment type, and then you'll be able to sort it by department and last name, first name. What's quite cool with that is it gives you numbers on the top of the columns. So you'll have a 4, 3, 2, 1. So you know what order they sorted in. But something that we're putting a lot of effort into, just above that grid, is just a search box. Just a search box on its own. There's no toggles, there's no filters, there's none of that. So it's intelligent. So if you put a number into there, it automatically assumes that you're either searching for an employee. Well, we call it a logical ID now, but what would have been the employee ID, or for a payroll number. So it sort of detects what you've put in. If it's numeric, it works in a particular way. And then if it's non-numeric, then it starts going through all the columns in the grid. To keep it simple for you guys, it's imagine it's going through all the custom groupings, all the grouping names, everything. So if you wanted to knock that down to contractors, you would just type CON, but then you might get a couple of Connellys in it as well. So a couple of people called Connolly would also be in there. So you do and then you get all your contractors.
So you could say search for like a certain department, and it'll just bring
Exactly.
people in that department.
Just start keying away, and there'll be a debounce on the search box as well. So a little pause, and then it'll narrow it down further, and you carry on typing, and it'll get shorter and shorter.
Can I ask what screen are you imagining this is? What's the equivalent screen in the current timeware?
I think is it the personnel find screen? That's what you.
Yeah, it's awful.
Or any find, any finds, they're all the same.
Right. So how, Dave, when you're, or maybe either Dave or support, how do customers use that find screen? What do they use it for? How do they use it?
They would use it either last name or payroll number.
Yeah, that's the main one. Isn't
That's
it?
the main.
So,
Yeah. But
So
don't forget
something
that
simple.
the payroll number could also contain letters as well, so it could be alphanumeric.
So that's what they use it for. Searching for somebody's surname or a payroll number. Those are the two that spring to mind straight away.
Yeah.
and what,
Us
what's
in
super
support,
cool there-
we sometimes group it, don't we? But
Or a badge number if they were using badges.
Go on, sorry, Nick, what were
Yeah.
you going to say?
So what you've got as an alternative as well, we think it'll be quite rare that you're gonna load up the find form. So what we've got as an alternative is at the anything personnel related, you've got a navigation at the top. So you got the guy's photo and yes, why don't you show this bit, Rich? Not been implemented yet though on their side.
See that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if you click it, yeah. And so
you can do it there as well.
what's quite cool there is it knows that there's two ways of searching. So I don't want to make it too complicated. If you type into this box, it searches through the last name, first name, and payroll number. That's what it does. If you want the big grid
Find
to come up,
screen,
you click that blue search icon there.
Mhm.
And then it'll bring you up the big form. But we're hoping what will actually happen when you've done PR 1, 2, 3, you're going to get a drop down list below you, which will give you, let's say, the top 5 or top 10, and then you'll just type a little bit more, and that will get shorter and shorter, and you just click on the one that you want out of the list. Then
So if you typed in web and there was 10 webs, you'd get all 10 listed.
So yeah, we'll have to decide how many, because it could be 100. So there will be a limit on what we'll put on this drop down list here.
Okay.
But yeah, you get the top X amount.
Yeah, I would say that's probably going to cover 90% of the stuff that they're doing.
But then you click the blue one, and you get
take you
this
to the big
super duper grid with all your everything in it.
Can I just say though, I don't think that's going to be. I don't think what you said there, Matt, is right, because if you can imagine someone like Cranswick, where they have lots of the family names are all the same.
Actually,
yeah, there's loads of them, and they would then need to see the person's first name to know who they are.
Well, that's fine. They'll just get used to dropping that down and clicking the blue search.
Yeah, and they'll get the full picture.
Yeah, and they'll get everything. And then something else we decided as well with the anything that's scalable, where we don't know how many there's going to be, or there could be a ridiculous amount of them. We've decided to use pagination on it. So Rich, just going to what we got with pagination.
Got the union somewhere.
Yeah. So
can we explain? Can we just explain what the word pagination means, please?
Way of paging through a large amount of records. So you can specify how many. That all won't be there though. There'll never be the all, but there'll be a certain amount. And when we're talking about employees, it might go up to something like 250, being the biggest page that you can pull in. Yeah.
This is where the cost comes in, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
We should limit it to 5.
I'm hoping they use the search. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that they use on the grid, they use the search offset side, and then we're bringing back a lot less records through the API.
I just think for larger sites, people like Cranswick, where they have, I didn't know this, but they have a lot of family names. So like they have lots of people with exactly the same name.
Yeah.
And obviously the only difference between them is there'll be something either in the payroll number, or there'd be something in the name or something to identify that they're separate. But they all have.
Oh, you know what's cool now, Dave?
That's what was causing us a problem.
They'll have the photo.
Genetic. Yeah. Okay.
So that's another thing on this find form. So you'll be at the top. There's going to be a toggle to say hide photo. So you'll be able to hide it or show it, and then you'll be able to see the people. So that'll give them a good clue of who it is as well, won't it?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Very good. So this is going to appear on any find. Is that right? This principle, this sort of.
No, so no, it's sort of the search is going to be the same.
Yes.
So that you'll be able to narrow down a list dead easy just by keying in what you want.
Right.
But the pagination only applies to a small amount of things, really. It's anything that where we could have a ridiculous amount of them.
Right.
If it was something like relationships, what we've decided to do is pull them all in at once rather than make it paginated. So if you just want to show that, Rich.
Just lost with somehow. Don't know what's going on computer.
Is it freezing?
It's
Yeah.
I can't hear anyone or anything.
Are we still going to have the same functionality? Sort of like you look at a person in personnel, you go to adjustment, and it's the same person. Is that?
Yeah, with knobs on really.
Yeah,
Because you've
okay.
got that header at the top. If you go into anything personnel related, it's going to be that same header.
Yeah, okay. So you go to absence and it
Yeah.
brings up. the
Remember
same,
who
yeah.
it is.
Remember who it is. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Just another thing as well in advanced. So if you show that, Rich, if you go to let's bring up the holiday planner.
Reading that, or
Yeah, where did the thingy go?
which one?
Where's the person gone?
That's I'm not sure actually.
We're going to be giving away free sunglasses with each copy of the software.
Probably I've clicked on this for a long time because it's just a holding page. It's just
Yeah.
a dummy page that we don't really go on to. But the idea is the person and be there at the top.
Sure.
Mm.
Okay.
Another thing as well, groupings. So what we've done is in advanced options, you'll be able to select which groupings are actually active or not.
Okay.
Yeah,
So obviously you can't change the names of the fixed ones, but you're going to be able to, you'll give your custom ones the names in here, but then you'll also be able to specify if they're enabled or not and get rid of the ones that you don't want. So when you do bring up that employee find, it's not overwhelming to somebody. And then also you won't be able to see them in the personnel screen. So just click over to personnel, right? Go on groupings. So they'll be hidden from here as well.
Yeah.
And then, okay, I don't know if you've seen this as well. So while we're in here, if you go add new person, Rich. Oh, has anybody else got anything to say on the groupings?
No, it seemed okay to me.
That's
What do you
okay.
think,
Yeah.
Dave? Are you on the initially you okay with
Yeah,
it?
we'll be okay. I mean, like I say, I can only see
What-
the sort of the custom ones, sort of, it's like the line manager, and also the way we transfer things into Sage, and then we may have another one where sometimes it gets ready in, like the script will use it. So
Do you think we get resistance from existing customers or even new customers who say, I can't remember the names of the group is there. Could you show me?
Yeah, but if you look at the names Nathan's gone with, it's not a million miles away from sort of majority of our jobs anyway.
Good, that's what I
Location,
wanted to hear.
department.
That was good.
You know what I mean? We use
nice.
the same thing as thing. It's
Good.
just the other, like we do sometimes use groupings for things in the scripts. So we'll check something in the groupings to do something in the script or something.
Yeah.
Definitely use them for transferring them into payroll, and we definitely use them for line managers.
Yeah, we've had some break rules, haven't we, to go off certain groupings, like if it's
Go
a
off
paid
certain
break
groups,
or
paid or not.
non-paid and stuff.
Yeah,
Because there's no other way
but-
to tell him. But
but if
We're
you've
gonna
only
be
got
doing
4 of them, there's not going to be
We're
would
going to be doing a whole rewrite.
I'm going to
of
say
all
we've
the
only done that
customisation,
because that's the only
know.
way we had it. If there's obviously going forwards, there'll be other ways to do it, won't there? So
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
One thing I'd say on that is we do have some customers where they use 10 groupings currently, and we want to add more to them. So is there any option of more than 4 customs?
We could. It's just the amount of work, and you know, we
It's not
can
the
have
end of
more
the world.
customs, but it's not.
Why would they need
straightforward.
more than 10? What would the what's
There's
the
some that just literally use all 10 for very specific reasons. I can't think of any off
Right,
the top
okay.
of my head, but
Yeah,
they
yeah.
used all of them and they want more than 10.
right? Okay.
It's only a
Alright.
fringe case. It's not everyone.
I mean,
Right.
the word unit can be made up for anything, kind of. I mean, that unit could be used for transferring into payroll, couldn't it? You can make it up.
yeah, that's what I say. It doesn't
That
have to be
means-
that, does it? Yeah.
No, it doesn't mean you could just twist it and say, well, unit means this in timeware, sort of thing. So yeah, it's they belong to a unit which is weekly paid or salary transferred or whatever. So you get round it.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
What were you moving on to then, Nathan, before?
Yeah, without it on groupings, do you think?
Yes.
You think
Yeah.
everyone's okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just the concept as well behind creating a new employee. So we've come up with a wizard now. So the idea behind the wizard is also, okay, before I talk about that, also things like preferred pronouns and Mr. and Mrs. relationships, all that sort of stuff as the ability to say what your default is going to be now.
Mhm.
So in a way that will let us pre-populate creating a new employee to a point. So customer decides which ones are going to be defaults, and they spring to life then when you try adding a new employee. And we can sort of say, okay, the employment status for a new employee is new starter, or it could be straight to an employee, and it just cuts down on the amount of entry that they have to do.
Yeah.
And then the idea behind this as well is what you can do with this is you'll go through it bit by bit, get to the end, and then what it'll really do is save away your main record, your essential stuff, but also a lot of sub records will get saved. So you'll end up with an employment record straight away. You'll end up with a salary record straight away. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
At the moment, it's a bit of a pain in the ass. You'll have to, it'll give you an error, and then you have to go and work out what the hell you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we going to make some of these on the wizard? Can we still make them mandatory? So we need groupings 1 to 5 filled out, and
that'll
not
be
6 to 10.
Don't be scripted.
It'll be scripted, and it's part of the controller.
Sure.
So
Okay.
imagine, Dave, every single thing that you want to do, update, create, delete, on every single sub item, every single bit of the controller is going to have scripting against it.
Okay.
So what would happen at that point is a validation error would go back to Jamie. It won't have a clue it was going to happen. It just try and click next, and it would get a response back from the API saying, "Now you need to fill out this," and then and I'd even tell them which bots, and then it'd highlight what the issue was along with the message. So all that can come back from the scripting side.
So then the other, so like you showed on the options that
Yeah.
you could hide certain groupings or
Yeah.
disable them. So on the wizard, would the disable ones then not show?
Yeah. Exactly. And imagine on your scripting, you said now you need organization, you need department and group, and it's non-negotiable. You have to fill them out. So what would happen is it would get an error back from the API, a validation error, and it'd say you've got to fill them bits in.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, okay.
And everyone's different. So imagine there's one for create, there's one for update, there's one for delete. Yeah. There might even be like a pre one as well, where at the point of you click in, I want to add a new person, it sends Jamie back a partially filled out populated object, an employee create object. So a lot of this could have been scripted and filled out by the script. So you go into it now and it'll be pre-populated. You get what I mean?
What about? So if you like you selected a particular grouping when you're going for the wizard, could it then fill out other bits based on you sort of clicking onto the next? So you said you put grouping number 1 as something, and then that gets linked to a particular period schedule, or it fills out bits and bobs based on other information previously.
So based on the department, so it puts them like a support shift if they're in support or something.
Yeah, there's, I mean, it would just be an object being passed back. So yeah.
Could Dave, could you just give a real world example of where this would be beneficial, or how this would be beneficial?
No, so say for something new here, we're starting in support, we set the department as supported, just set the period schedule to the support hours period schedule, just so you don't have to go in and obviously select that.
Because it got a bit heavy then. I just wonder, for the people that aren't as into it as deeply as this, you know, that this is we're simply setting some default. Would you call them default rules or some default?
Yeah, it's like presets, isn't it? Yeah.
Some presets. Yeah. And when Nathan talks about an object, and he says he's creating an object, just to do it. What's a simplified explanation of that? It's a programming term, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just
collection of
things.
It's an object. It's like an object.
It's an employee with all these settings in already, and so all them settings could have been decided by the script. So you get into here and you start moving through the panel and thinking, how's it filled all this out for me?
Yeah. Okay.
I know you are keeping the copy button though as well. We're not losing that, are we?
I was just about to say,
what at the top right?
A copy.
Yeah, I know it's there, but it could disappear, couldn't it? You know.
It's a funny one, really, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's a funny one when you've got 70 to do. It's 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And Nathan's and Dave's whinging.
Yeah, there'd be a discussion to decide what that really did, what fields to include, and what sub records. There's a lot of sub records now. There's everything's separated into smaller tables, so it'd be, you'd have to work out what you wanted to keep.
So maybe it's a good point to just remind everybody that the target for November of 2023 is to have the personnel module, the reporting module, and the scripting.
Yeah.
I say on the fashion, it will be scripting related to the personnel, wouldn't it? Obviously, yeah. That's the goal. So when we do the launch for 24, at the wherever it is in November, we're gonna be showing off this the personnel module, and then next November it's going to be the absence management side, and then the November after it'll be the attendance. Is that right?
Yeah.
Got the plan.
Okay. Yeah, that's the plan.
Can I just say on the copy person though, the copy button, I know it's a thing I always go on about, but it's quite a decent, it's a nice little seller in a way, because somebody will say to you, you'll have a lady there sitting in HR, or how difficult is it to set somebody up on the system? And currently now you just say you find someone similar to starting, you click on the word copy, and it's all done for you, and you fill out your name and address.
I think joking aside, what Nate said before, he's right, isn't it? There'll be a discussion about what you want it to include. We're not saying it won't be included. I know you're the person who does a lot of these setups, so it's a subject close to your heart. But I think we won't put it in just to make your life that much harder. It's just what it will include. I think that was what was there.
So have a giggle and hide the copy button for Dave, you know what I mean?
We could tell you it's going
Dave's version with Dave logs on.
3 years and then do it in an afternoon.
We'll make it move about, Dave, so you'll put your mouse on and I'll move out of the way.
Just as you're clicking on it, it moves.
You know, on
Yeah.
the on the scripting side, Nath, is that something we can control ourselves? Like, there might be one customer that might have one combination of groupings they need, but another might need another set of combinations. Is that something we can control, or is that through you guys?
It'd be through you, because I think the script should be the standards sort of scripts.
Yeah, good.
Should be able to cope with it, and then really you'd be changing parameters for the script. You won't be putting a new script in. You'd just be altering the parameters, hopefully.
No, that's fine. I just had something in my mind where apparently you were changing the scripts, but it might just be bespoke stuff.
I think the scripts, I'm hoping that the majority of the scripts are built in as standard. It's just one, you know, each area's got its own script, and it's very occasionally we have something that's unique to a customer.
Completely special, yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to become unwieldy.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I'm hoping as we bring more customers on board, we'll just absorb new features into the standard scripts, but there'll be a really good way of rather than you having to edit the scripts and change the constants, there'll be a really good way, a user interface way of being able to change them properties.
Yeah.
Can we bring Merlin the wizard back?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fantastic. You get him to swear and everything. Great.
It's the best bit of doing a demonstration of timeware 5, getting the wizard to speak to the customer.
Let's be careful with marking out your laptop there.
All right. So is there anything else that's worth mentioning? What we've done? Groupings, and we've looked at the sort, the searching side.
Yeah, I think that's it really, Simon. We've been concentrating on the grid really recently.
Did I see your relationship dog there?
Oh, the other thing to mention is we've bought an iPad. So as we've been developing it, we've made sure that it works on an iPad. And
so I didn't quite hear what you said then. You brought an iPad. Okay.
Yeah. Because well, the form factor that we're probably going to go down to is just an iPad size, not a mobile phone. It'll be an iPad.
I've been playing around with the demo. Sorry, the system on timeware.com on the what was it, Chromebook, and it looks really good, really good. Who's run system performance reviews? Bevel, you've done a couple, haven't you?
Yeah, I've done a few.
What do you want to just share with Nath what people's reactions?
The reception's been really good. They really like the speed of it, how modern it looks.
Good.
The bit that some that have mentioned is the colours, which is a bit contentious.
Fucking roasted last time. It was boring. Put a bit of colour in it.
They didn't say anything bad about it, but they didn't.
Let's just say this is being recorded, and my intention is to put this on somewhere so we could keep it. Yeah. So maybe not. Let's not pinpoint specific customers.
I mean, the point with the colours is it's going to relate everything together. So personnel stuff is going to be in a particular colour, absence stuff, and then all the lookups and everything else. So it's just a way of knowing what belongs to what easily. That's all. And it gives it a nice look. It gives it a bit. This to-do list is really good. You know exactly, what parts what. That was the thought behind.
Who else? Bevel, you've done some. Who else? Zach, have you done any system performance reviews? Have you got any feedback?
Yeah, to be honest, they've just been quite happy that it's going cloud-based, really, and it's going to be a lot quicker, and they can access it from, like I said, tablets or remotely, a lot easier. That's all I've had off it.
Good.
There was one customer that had that They wanted a cloud so badly that they've built their own. They've got an Azure server with a timeware in the cloud, on premise in the cloud. So they wanted it that much.
Oh, good.
That's what they've had to do.
So
That's what Lee busted. You know,
with when we get to, when we actually launch this, it's going to be new customers or customers that have got no scripting that will be the first to be onboarded. Yeah. And then it's going to
They
be
don't need time and attendance or absence tourism.
Yeah. To be honest, you know, listening to what Nathan Price has been saying about some of the HR systems that we've been working with, I think this personnel and the absence management part, when it's got the shifts from the attendance side, will be hands down a lot of the absence management systems that are out there.
but that people HR was.
Okay, well, let's. I can't delete these things that people say, so let's just keep it nice.
Okay. Then what we had is the only thing is the other HR system can send out stuff. You know what I mean? It's
Can somebody just find out how I can beep bits out of this?
You can do. I forgot what I was going to say now.
Listen, Mike, I think you should just tone it down a little, Mike. Okay. Right. No, I'm only joking. It's is there anything else we can see? Anything else that's worth mentioning at this point?
Just a quick thing on. I know it's not for now, but do you know rates?
Yeah.
Right. Are we going to have more? Are we going to have 40, or are we going to have unlimited, or?
Yeah, I don't want to say unlimited, Dave, because at some point you've got to name the frigging things. You've got to put a name against them. So a reasonable amount, I guess.
Okay.
So be careful, you end up with 22. Don't push him, Webby. Just
so we get 21.
Yeah, it might end up as being 19 if you're not.
Technically, you could have an unlimited amount. There's no reason why you couldn't, but you have got to design a screen and you've got to put them on, and when you're doing columns and when you're saying which rates do I want to see, there has to be a limit, really.
Okay.
Yeah, otherwise
we could do it more than 20.
Yeah. If you said 40 won't be an issue.
40 will be all right.
But,
it's perfect.
like I said, it's just lists of things. It's a hell of a lot of things to name when you start saying, let's give them 100.
Yeah, if you
100 columns in a grid.
I think the majority of our customers. It's a valid point, and it's one that we can bring up next year. Maybe when we're doing the development. Yeah. Is there anything else?
Majority of customers, 20 is enough, but we do have some that it's not.
We just go back to personnel, which is the bit they're working on. Is there anything? Is there anything that you want to mention about the current personnel system? Well, we've got this little opportunity to drop an idea in or anything or any. I mean, I know we're not. This meeting isn't to help. It's not to give direction to the development, but. Have all of you seen what Nathan's done so far? What the team have done so far on the personnel side? Have you seen it, Dev?
Yeah, I logged on. I've seen it. I log on now and again.
So you're happy with it? You don't think there's anything missing? There's nothing that jumps out here as being a problem. So
it's just when we look at things like the training records. Do you know? Like some of the systems, some of the training records, they have revisions. So it could be something like, I don't know, using a knife for Crown to excise something, for example. So they're using a knife to do the work, and then something. So they've been trained how to use that particular item, but then there could be a bit later on. There could be a revision to that. So they still have the same training, like a review. So they've been trained up to version. Okay. So they have a different sort of. You've been trained to use that item up to a certain level. So there's it needs like a second level for the training. So it needs like the master sort of record.
Is it like a refresher course type thing where you've been trained something like a sort of course where it needs to be refreshed? Is that it? Where there could be a change a revision of rules or something.
So they were trying to use something, and then something happened, and a person injured themselves through that, and they've looked at the way they're using it, and they said, "Oh, we'll have to change the way we do things." So they would then go back and do a review on that
So
training
what
course.
they do is they create a new, let's say there was course version 1.0.
Yeah.
They realise it's not there's a little loophole. They create a 1.1. We
Yeah.
create a new record, a new training record called using a knife 1.1. And what we then have to do is say everybody that's on a 1 has to go through the retraining again.
With
Is
the
it that
retraining
sort of
again,
scenario? Yeah.
but the header is still using a knife. They've been trained to use a knife.
Yes.
Then it's the sub part of it, up to what level
Yeah.
they've been trained.
So
they've been
instead of us
trained up to 1.1.
creating all the
1.2.
new records, 1.1,
Yeah.
we just take that, say they're at 1.2 of knife
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then you could do a report then to say, okay, who's been trained to use a knife and at what level are they up to? And then you say, okay, well, these people need training again, or we could put an item on the to-do list, or we could do all sorts of things with that. So I think the training needs two levels, like the main training course, and then what revision they're up to.
Is it a big part of the personnel system, Dave? Is it how heavy duty users?
I think they don't use our training records because of that. Lots of companies wouldn't use it because of that.
What do they have to do at the moment? They would have to create another record,
another reference,
and then put everybody.
Then they'd have to. Then everybody that gets retrained would then be put onto that reference.
Just let me get this clear then, because I'm a little confused. So let's say we've got cutting using a knife, just call it using a knife, yeah. And that record was created in January 23, and these are the rules. These are the 5 steps, and they realise there's a step missing later that year. Yeah, and so it brings using a knife version 1.1 August edition. Yeah, everybody's been trained, and they've done 1,000 people so far. How do you see that working? So
the main record, you could search to say, okay, who's been trained using a knife? So using the knife is the main search, and then it would then tell you what version of that using the knife they're up to.
Yeah.
So instead of having to look for using a knife 1.1 or using a knife 1.2 or using a knife 1.3, you just say they're using a knife, and this is the version they're up to.
Without it getting a bit monotonous, what's the point of this? Why do they want to search for them? What do they do after that?
Then they'd retrain the people who are not up to the latest version.
And they would they would then say they were on this new version.
They would say they're on that new version once they've been trained, yeah.
So you've got the training reference, haven't you? What it was, and then you need a like sub reference that belongs to that training reference.
That main record,
yeah.
And then
just like a
maybe a way of doing that then is in the actual training record. Imagine a token box, and it said something like revision or whatever we wanted to call it.
Yeah.
And you would say, I'm training on knife 1.1, and then the others are being there to select from. And you say, actually, he's on knife 3.0 now. So he's had knife 1 training and knife 3, and they've both been in the token box.
But don't know if I wanted to know who's the actual who's had knife training.
Yeah.
Just in general, they've had that training. I'm not too bothered at the moment what version or what revision they're on, because the report's going to tell me that. I just want to report on that top header that says that person's had knife training. Then I run the report, and the report would then tell me what version they're up to.
Yeah, so it would say against Nathan Price's training record, because there's them 2 items in the token box. Let's say there's a 1, 2, and a 3. I got trained on 1. I got trained on 3. There'd be 2 things against me then, wouldn't there? Two items against that training record. One saying I've done revision 1 and I've done revision 3.
Yeah.
I missed out 2. I didn't have time to do that, but I did 3.
Yeah, that'd be fine. That'd be good.
Something
like that. But I don't need search. I'm trying to get across. I'm only searching.
I'm really struggling with
you're
talking about, Dave. I'm really struggling understanding what you're saying about this, Dave. You keep saying you want to search for this main record, which is this main course, which is using a knife. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is your master record, isn't it?
It's the master record.
Yeah.
And then there'll be a sub record that would tell me what version they've been trained up to. So they've been trained up to 1.1, 1.2,
Yeah.
2.3, whatever it is.
The 252 gateway's just gone off. That's why a few people have disconnected. They'll be joining back in a sec.
Okay.
And the issue is then if they've got 10 revisions and they're going to report on who's had that training, when they set the report up, they've got to click all those revisions. But this way, if they had the master record and then the subdivisions off it, they would just report on the master
Yeah.
record.
Yeah.
Mm.
You're doing who's had knife training. You're not reporting on with revisions of the
No.
knife
Yeah.
training. You're just
Carl.
reporting on the knife training.
Carl, when you had your
Yeah.
HACCP training, right? When you had your at Virgin, did they ever have refresher courses? Were there ever any changes to?
They did have not so much on the food hygiene. On the first aid courses, we'd have a refresher every 3 years, and the fire training.
And was that because of changes to the rules, or was that because just to remind you of how to do things? You know, remind you of how
Just a refresher.
reminders, right? Okay,
Yeah.
all right, yeah. So that could be that's a similar thing, and it to this, and it could be different, couldn't it? We've got two
It's
things.
slightly different there. When
Yeah.
the first aid course expires, I think by law, I think that's a legislation thing that you've got to, like a forklift truck driver's license only lasted for so long.
Forklift truck, I don't believe does expire. I used to think it did, but there are some expire,
right,
don't they,
okay.
and some don't, and then some are reviewed because concepts and principles are improved on, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the one I'm trying to get to when things are improved on.
Well, I think yeah, that's it's good. And is there anything else? I just an opportunity while we're just talking about personnel. Anything else? Do you think that Dave? Do you think the way it looks is going to? I mean, you've not talked to customers about it yet. The lads have, haven't they? The reaction seems to be very positive at the moment. Certainly from Nathan Beveridge, when I hear Bevel, when they've done the system performance review, we mentioned it at the 4 o'clock meeting, and it's good to get that positive feedback.
I mean, the positive feedback I get from timeware is like probation. The existing systems like probation periods, you know, when they set a person up and it puts them onto 90 days probation and stuff, they love all that and they get a warning and all that sort of stuff. I can't think of anything that major.
I think if we were to look at other systems in the same market sector to us, we'd be surprised how many of them don't have some of the real basic things that we have, and that's what sets us apart, isn't it? The things like the probationary period and
the only thing I'd say, I don't know if it's technically possible, is that at the moment, if they put an end date into something, it doesn't look back. It can't look back. Timeware doesn't look back. Whether that in the future, when we get onto that side of things, it can be fixed.
Just elaborate on that, Dave. What do you mean?
So say something like with automatically it can switch somebody to a lever, but it can only do it if the date's in the future. But if they put a date in and it's in the past, timeware doesn't see it.
So what it is, Nath, that sort of say somebody's forgot to put someone's data termination in, so they've gone back into a record, put the data termination in, and obviously set them to a lever on this date, but because we've passed that date, it's not automatically.
Is it almost like at the point of saving, it needs to say,
at the point
date's gone past, therefore we don't need to
do the change.
Just
little things forgotten to do things.
It's an iffy thing at the moment. The problem with the way that we do it is there's no solid way that we do it. We do it 2 different ways. So it doesn't allow you to do stuff like that really properly, because we've chickened out. We've left it on that employment status. We've got the job spec, haven't we? Where all that information's in, and you say on this date I want to change the employee status from a starter to an employee, and then the problem is then you can change it manually, can't you?
Is it going to be more hard and fast? Is it going to be more rigid on Rich?
Yeah, I think it should be. I think it should definitely be tied.
The reason why it was fluid on the older version, it's developed over 23 years. This is a rethink, isn't it? In a 2-year period. So if
we can tighten that up somehow, that'd be like you say. If like Simon says, if when you click it, it's in the past and it knows when you save
Yeah.
it, it's in the past and it looks, it does it then.
Yeah.
I'm not saying to do it on existing timeware. I was just saying on the new stuff.
Yeah.
To do that.
The personnel part of timeware, the personnel module within timeware is a big part, isn't it, for us? It's a really big part.
Yeah.
Is
Do
that
you
right,
ever
Dave? Dave?
Yeah. Do you ever see being able to sell it personnel and absence together without the time and attendance? Would it?
You need the,
Could
yeah, well, I've
We need the
actually thought
schedules.
the daily schedules and period schedules.
Yeah,
I say that are under company, not time and attendance, for that reason.
Mhm.
So you definitely, you wouldn't need the time and attendance anymore.
No.
If you go back to 99, the stuff we had planned back in the old days was, do you remember there was a personnel module, wasn't there? The Salford City Council bought timeware personnel. That was it was the only people that bought it at one point, before we withdrew it. So I think there are a lot of opportunities in the future. It might not be just selling TNA.
I mean, you could have it so it just, if it's a small system, you know, you could just say that your basic week, it's Monday to Friday, everybody works that, and just have it in the background.
I think what I was trying to say before, to me, the personnel module is a super important part of our system. It's a really important part. It's, you know, it started off as 3 lines to do with an employee when I wrote it back in the late 80s and stuff, and it's a mega part of the system now, isn't it? It sets us apart from the competition. So what the guys are developing here is super important. You know, it's really got to be bob on, especially when you've got customers that have got 2,000 employees. You can't be slow, or we'll just drop at the first hurdle, won't we?
Well, I see customers who like our acts, you know, they say it's 80% sort of usable for them, and they'll come away from whatever they're doing existing and they'll use timeware. I say to them, it's not a HR system. I say it's personnel, but they're quite content to use it. With the link between personnel and attendance and personnel and absence and all that sort of stuff.
All right. Well, it's just an hour now.
Just one thing to add to that. So if it's going to be an absenteeism system and no attendance, so they'd have access, wouldn't they, to the daily schedules, period schedules, and the planner. It's just they wouldn't have access to the adjustment screen and rates and everything else. You know, well, maybe rates it would. Yeah.
Yeah, because when I've seen, you know, other systems, it doesn't need much more. You know what I mean? We're not a million miles away.
The big problem with all these integrations, the HR systems that we've done, the big stumbling block has always been the absence element of it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And how poorly designed it was the
only thing what's missing from our HR system is recruitment, and I don't have any experience on that. What people would be looking for.
We haven't got an HR system. We've got personnel, and
personnel. So it's just recruitment.
Yeah, I think that's a different thing. Maybe 5 years from now, 6, 7 years from now, when we're looking at developing some new modules, maybe that would be a decent one to include. I think market forces will determine what we do. Right, that's an hour. Is that all right? Have we covered everything we need to cover?
Yeah, it's an hour.
Right, I'm gonna.
Nice for Carl to join us at the end, wasn't
it? I didn't see the reminder.
We'll. I'm going to pause this on. I'm not sure where, but I think we can put it somewhere. I don't think there's any defamatory remarks. Whether nobody swore too much. Nathan had 2 strikes. Dave mentioned a company.
And Matt sort of enhanced that reputation of that company a little bit.
Matt also started the meeting by saying I might have to go and use the toilet.
Nothing wrong with that.
Was it toilet talk?
But not as bad as Bevo going to the toilet and the recording going with him, which happened. And what's really good is Mike's missing on this one. So, okay.
You see how nice it and relaxed the arm I have when Mike can around. You see how calm I am.
Not twitching. Right. Whoever started the recording